Welcome back to Squawk Box. This morning, Just Capital out with its list of America's most just companies. CNBC is Just Capital's media partner. Joining us right now in an exclusive interview, legendary investor Paul Tudor Jones, co-founder and chairman of Just Capital. He created all of this. He's also the founder and chief investment officer of Tudor Investments, of course. Also, Antonio Neri, he's the CEO of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. It is ranked #1 in the Just 100 for the second year in a row. And I've got about 1 million questions for all of you, including tariffs, given the news of the moment right here, Paul. But I want to start with this list, and I want to start with actually just a very 30,000-foot question, which is, it feels like the world has shifted, even in the past couple of months, politically and otherwise, around so many of the issues. This whole idea of almost stakeholder capitalism, ESG, DEI, all of that seems to have been thrown out. Maybe the baby's been thrown out with the bathwater. I don't know. But I'm so curious, given that your work is based on polling, based on what the American public actually wants, and you also just had an election, and how you think about all of this.
Well, first, let me just say it's ironic that we're here on the day to celebrate the best of American business on the same day that we're also tariffing the hell out of them. But it is what it is. And what I would say is that the election result that we saw and President Trump taking office again, I think is completely congruent with the polling that we saw this year for what constitutes just behavior. The #1 issue, and it is year after year after year, is pays a fair and living wage. It's all about the American worker. And President Trump was elected to office because this country felt like the middle America, those that sit there and work for all these companies weren't getting a fair shake. So I think this is exactly synchronous with what we see in our polling. And it's so funny when you mention DEI, ESG, all those terms. I can tell you at a macro level, just polling that we do is about USA. And I know it sounds corny, but it's a fact. It's about what the American public thinks is the best behavior for corporations to do on behalf of all Americans and all stakeholders. And that's workers and communities and customers and shareholders and the planet. So I think, if anything, if you're a MAGA person, then you got to 100% respect what our polling shows, because all we're doing is asking the American public what they think. It's as MAGA as there is anything.
Before we get to Antonio, let me just ask you this about performance, because one of the questions is how correlated the outcome of the Just 100 list is to performance and, maybe importantly, outperformance. How has it changed over the years? Yeah,
so since our inception about 7 years ago, the Just 500 has outperformed the Russell by about 10%. The Just 100 has outperformed the Russell by about 40%. The Just 100 has outperformed the S&P by just a little bit. But the point is aligning yourselves with what the American public thinks is great for business is also great for your shareholders and your share prices and your business in general. And there's nobody that embodies that better than that gentleman, Antonio Neri, who he really is the classic American dream story. He started as an intern at Hewlett-Packard Enterprises and worked his way to CEO. There's no better Horatio Alger story than him. And trust me, we would all want our kids to work at HPE, given the things that he's done.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Thank you for that, Paul. Antonio, it's nice to see you this morning. You've now been at the top of this list 2 years in a row. And I'm curious what you think you're doing differently than other companies, and frankly, how much you think about the various metrics with which you have succeeded on this list. And by the way, I should say your stock did outperform in a very big way this past year. On a longer-term basis, it's a little bit more of a complicated story. But when you look at these metrics with which you've come atop this list, how much are you focused on those things individually, or are you focused on something else, and it just so happens that you've come out on top on the other metrics as well.
Yeah, well, good morning, Andrew, and good morning, Paul. Nice to see you again, and thank you for the amazing honor and recognition for the second year in a row. It's an honor that we take very seriously, and our 60,000 employees are cheering today for, again, this amazing award that we take very, very seriously. To your point, Andrew, you know, when I became CEO, believe it or not, 7 years ago, 2 days ago, you know, one of the key priorities I had was culture. Culture is everything in my mind, in addition to focus to our customers and our innovation. And now the culture, at the center, are our employees. So how we create an environment where everybody can come to work and thrive to create business value that ultimately is good for shareholders and for the communities we operate. And there we put a lot of emphasis about our values, our benefits, and our ability to attract, retain, and develop that talent and pay equally. And so I'm very proud of the work we as an organization have done for the past 7 years. And we see that in our results. It's not just the Voice of the Workforce survey that we do every year, where this company now performs consistently in the mid-80s, with our lowest attrition rate they ever had, including the top attrition rate, which is very low single digits. But it's the ability to really attract that talent that continues to fuel that innovation, to solve some of these biggest societal challenges we all face. You know, ensure that these technologies like AI are inclusive, that ultimately, you know, we design systems that consume less energy, and then think about the circular economy that we drive. But in the end, it's all about those employees that come to work every day.